Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I want to do something a little bit different. I just want to compare the win rates of the top heroes across all brackets and the top heroes on Dota 2 Pro Tracker, which is 8k MMR and above. And the reason why I like doing this is I think it makes it very clear to you guys what are the best heroes of the patch. Throughout this week, I've already made or will be continuing to make just a lot of like hero guides, hero updates, so you guys have very clear ideas on how to play the new heroes, item builds, skill builds, talent builds. But I wanted to make more of a general overview video that isn't just a tier list, it's just a very clear, like, this is what is winning in, the different brackets. And so, yeah, first off is Dota Buff. This is Dota Buff, which covers all brackets. We're going to look a little bit at, like, how much these heroes have changed, but it's been more than a week, and so you can't exactly see what heroes are better now. For instance, Lifestealer in the patch went up a lot, and I mean a lot, but now it doesn't say, because it's past a week. But alright, let's get into the heroes that are on top for all brackets. On top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. The first hero is Abaddon. Abaddon across all brackets is just completely broken. It is the most flexible hero in Dota, and it doesn't have a bad facet. I will say, I think a big thing that plays a part in heroes having good win rate is them having two good facets, because then people just can't like grief by picking the wrong one. And I mean this, like, all the innovators who just decide to pick the shit facet don't ruin the hero's win rate, and Abaddon has two of the best in the game. On top of that, you'll notice a very common trend within the top 4 heroes, which is tanky frontliners that are very hard to burst. 3 of them by Radiance, 2 of them by Blade Mail. I would say there's something to be said about that. And 2 of them, the top 2, both by a lot of Sange and Yasha, at least at the highest level. Lifestealer almost always has one outside of the occasional Manta game, and Abaddon almost always has one at the highest level as well. And so yeah, Abaddon, most flexible hero. It can be played in any role, and it will still have about this win rate. Then we have Lifestealer, who is the best carry of the patch. Then we have the outlier, I would say, on Pro Tracker. He's not really anywhere to be seen. You're just not going to get a huge win rate on Wraith King. In fact, I think the hero, the higher you go, just becomes worse and worse and worse. Its laning stage just kind of isn't there as you get to the top level. Its explosiveness in teamfights just kind of isn't there. It doesn't have the best scaling per se. And so yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Sand King as you get to high MMR, but across brackets, it is a good hero. Its higher win rate facet is Bone Guard, then it's Spectral Dagger, or whatever it's called, Spectral Blade. They're both very good, and that plays a part. But yeah, these are the top 3 heroes. Then we have Tidehunter. He was recently buffed in this patch to have a much better facet in Krill Eater. It's significantly stronger now as it doesn't reduce your base strength. And that's just massive. So now the hero can like kind of get bigger over time, which gives him better spells, better stats over time. And he scales incredibly well. I also think Tide has just been a good hero, largely because he gets to buy really effective items and deal a lot of damage. There's a couple things I like about the hero. Number one, he gets to Rush of Lads, which is pretty cool. It's not my favorite early game item. I think items like Drums and Solar and Mech are just more effective, even Pipe, but Lads is not terrible. It's all right. But then he gets to buy a Mage Slayer as a second item, which is really great on the hero because it works on Anchor Smash, gives him regen, gives him some damage, gives him some attack speed, and Tide actually begins to hit pretty hard pretty fast. You buy Phase Boots, you kind of get in people's face, and then you have the super broken Tide Shard at some point. In fact, one of my favorite builds on Tide is the no Blink Tide. I think Blink Tide is fine. Good, especially if your game is a bit harder, you just want to get off a good Ravage. But I think the best way to play Tide is to have a Vlad's, a Mage Slayer, and then actually buy your Shard. I think Blink third item is fine as well. It is totally viable and is quite strong to Blink Ravage. But in general, just being kind of a frontliner that soaks spells, like has magic resist and physical resist, and then buying Shard, just kind of sticking on someone and killing them is really, really OP. Like really, really OP. And so yeah, great hero, scales well, Shard is broken. You can be a right clicker, which is pretty awesome, right? That you can scale into a right clicker. I think Shiva's after Mage Slayer tends to be the way to go. Some people like trying out Deso and shit, which is cool. But yeah, next up we have AA. This is another hero that you won't really see at the top of the list, kind of at the highest level. He's actually not, 52% is quite good. Honestly, it's quite good. Wraith King, I think, is nowhere to be found. In fact, I think Wraith King is like, yeah, I mean, this hero, it's not a huge sample size of games, really. That is kind of the problem with Pro Tracker. It's a much lower sample size of games, but for the top heroes, when they have like 5,000 games, 4,000 games, 3,000 games, it's not too bad. But yeah, Wraith King is beyond terrible. The higher you get, it just has some major flaws that aren't exploited by typical players. Yeah, Ancient Apparition, I do think that this hero is actually very underrated at the pro scene. It just got a buff this patch to make it better at level 1. They made Chilling Touch way better a much better trading ability. And I actually thought that would catapult the hero to a lot of people, but it kind of hasn't. And that's definitely shocking to me because it also is quite good in the early game. It's good at fighting the Tormentor, right? You have Ice Vortex on hills, you know, you have very effective spells, and there is a lot of healing, I mean, for instance, the number 6 hero or 7? Number 7 hero is Darkseer. And look at these heroes. Healing, 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 sort of healing, 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 right? The only hero in this list that's pretty good against AA is like Visage is quite good. I think AA's laning against Visage is terrible. I would say Medusa is a AA counter because the ult just doesn't work. So I would say Venge is actually very good against AA. You give barriers to allies that get ulted, you can swap them out and you buy Ags. So like there's a few matchups in here that are actually AA counters. Oracle is theoretically decent against AA, funny enough, just because you can put the W on people and you can ult them when they're AA blasted to kind of buy time. So there's like some good interactions in here. It's crazy that Witty is on this list at all. He is always really high win rate in Lone Lamar. I guess it's just bad positioning and then Ags Witch Doctor ult just kind of cooking in the late game. Because, man, I mean, I haven't seen this hero in a pub in forever. Where even is Witch Doctor? I don't even think he's even remote. 48. I mean, it's not the worst. It's not Wraith King. It's not Wraith King, but man, it is just not that good. Yeah, so next hero, Visage. I don't see a lot of Visage in high MMR, and to me, that's just insane. If I was an offlane player, I would absolutely be testing this hero. And the reason why is, well, Death Toll is still very good. But just so you guys can see it, actually I'll pull up, the highest win rate fastest in the game are both Abaddon, which is really funny. But then considering he's number, what is it, number 7 on the list? God, I keep getting mixed up. He's number 6. His win rate is 3rd, right? Lifestealer's Flesh Feast is number 4, which is extremely impressive. You have the really broken Dragonite Fire Dragon, Medusa Venomous Volley, which is actually insane. Goes to show that I guess that's just, I really love her other facet, but I guess it just goes to show. But getting back to the point, I thought a lot more people would try Sepulcher. The reason why is because in this patch, they made it way better. The radius is way bigger from 250 to 300, and the secondary target penalty went from 75 to 50. So if you hit a creep wave with this thing, or illusions or a stack, I mean, you get so much attack speed on your bursts, and you hit really, really hard. Now, to be fair, in a way to nerf this, they got rid of the Grave Chill cooldown, but I don't know, I don't think that's bad, and I'm actually not so sure. Is Lurker Stacks good? So yeah, the Lurker Stacks is a 50% increase, which seems really high for a 10 talent, right? Just buffing something by 50%. 10 talents don't usually seem to have, you know, that high of an effect. Visage and Familiar's attack damage is nothing to scoff at either. I mean, 25 to 31 is not bad, especially considering you're taking a facet that just gives major attack speed buffs, is really good. You know, this win rate on this thing is insanely high. So I just can't believe more people aren't trying it. I've seen it, I think, a couple times at Dream League. I know it stomped one game, maybe lost the second game in some, I think it was a Chimera series, if I'm not mistaken. And it has some good pairings. I think Tusk is showing to be pretty good at least at the pro level. Marcy is very popular at the pro level. Expect to see more of this hero as time goes on. I think it's pretty undervalued right now. But yeah, let's get into the last few heroes we're going to talk about. I'm going to stay within around the top 10. Dragonite, the Fire Dragon, is just OP. Even after the bug nerfs, I've seen him in my pub today. He was just completely broken. I think this hero is actually way better than 53% win rate. I mean, the things I was seeing, like the fact that he has an AoE stun and then AoE damage, like if you find a decent angle in a team fight, and you don't even have to like find a good blink stun, just middle of the team fight, people forget that you're an AoE stunner and they just clump up next to you and just get 3-man stun and then blasted down by AoE auto attacks. I mean, I don't know, this hero to me just seems pretty crazy. It is greedy, but I don't really find that to be a problem with how much it does. Venge, very high up. You guys know I'm a huge fan of this hero on pubs because I think it kind of fits the archetype of these 4 heroes, which is just these very beefy, tanky guys that basically get extra lives, that are just stupid tanky, and that comes down to her Ags. She's easy to play, she saves, she's got a stun, she has incredible talents, her Ags is one of the best in the game. I love this hero. Medusa, top win rate carry. Her win rate did go up in this patch. This is down from like, I don't know, I guess this week or the last few days. It's pretty fake. She's better this patch for sure. Clearly, the facet you should be taking is Venomous Volley. I would love to advertise the other one, which is pretty good, I know. 51. It's not bad. Maybe people don't know how to build around it yet. So I really want to make a video on Undulation. If you don't know what it is, it gives her fixed movement speed and she can't be slowed, but you can't buy boots. So you're stuck at 310 movement speed, but that's not bad because Deuce is a really slow hero. So I don't know. I think there's some potential there, but for now, it seems like Venomous Volley with just Manta style, it's just OP. It still works. The illusions still just apply attack speed and movement speed slow from what I was told. And so yeah, probably just one of the best carries in the game. Just scales incredibly well. Pretty reliable laning stage, as long as you're not getting chain ganked. And then, yeah, the last few I'll cover. So Wyvern, super high win rate in high MMR, and it seems to be the case in low MMR. I think recursive just demolishes bad positioning, which is rampant. Heroes that really took advantage of that last patch were Warlock and Lich. Warlock is still up there. He's worse, right? But he's still up there. And then Lich kind of fell from grace, but I mean, that hero's still not bad. He's still kind of up there. Definitely weaker. He's not nearly the menace he used to be. Let me tell you, that hero is phew. But okay, Jakiro, broken hero. Clockwork, still one of the top pause fours, which actually, I will say, if there's any hero that I find weird to be high win rate, it's Clockwork. It's not that I think that this hero is bad. I just find this hero to be a very, at least when I play with it and against it and as it, I find it to be a very 49% win rate hero. It just feels strong, has very good pairings, very consistent, but they kind of, I want to say they kind of nerfed it pretty hard in the patch. I mean, it's one of those heroes that it took a bit of a toll, right? Where it lost battery assault doing damage to creeps. Maybe people didn't even do that. They just forgot. So probably across average pubs, it just didn't really matter. But I think in high MMR, it like super matters because you got to be very efficient around the map. You got to push out waves when you're given the opportunity. You just can't do that anymore. He is a strength hero now, but really didn't benefit much at all from that. Didn't get much gain almost at all. So I guess it's just the control. Cogs in teamfights is probably pretty OP. He can solo kill people who position poorly and buy bad items. It's a bit hard to say. I don't really understand this one fully. So yeah, maybe you guys have to tell me what's your experience. Oracle, I actually think this hero is just a great hero. Super underrated. Not a great laner, but once you get to the mid game, it just does so much. And Witty, I don't know. Who knows? But all right, let's kind of look at the other side. Obviously, we're going to have to skip past some that have very low sample size. Meepo is one that's a little interesting, but I assume it's people like last picking Meepo in perfect Meepo games, so you have to be careful about that one. ET is something shocking to me that more people don't play it. It's one of Dota's least popular heroes, and I think it's because it usually doesn't feel that satisfying to play if you fall behind. It's like quite miserable. Even though you can have a lot of impact, it's just like, I don't know, you can't push waves. You're like, it's just weird. I don't personally enjoy playing the hero very much, but sure, its win rate across a very small sample size is high. Kunkka, I don't know. This is so little games. I personally think that this hero tends to be trash, but maybe it's not terrible. By the way, another thing to mention is that Radiant's win rate is insanely high. This is a bit of a side note, but this is Radiant win rates. These are the win rates for Radiant. It is insanely high. Like, almost every hero has a way higher win rate. I mean, this is why this stat looks absurd. I mean, 20% gap on Kunkka from Radiant to Dire, but even on heroes with more standard-looking numbers, you know, DK quite a bit better on Radiant. A lot of heroes just 8% better. I mean, Meepo, I guess not really. ET 6%. Wyvern better by 8%. Enigma better by 10%. Like, just some kind of goofy, kind of crazy numbers for a lot of these heroes. Why exactly? I'm still trying to figure that out. Maybe it has to do with Roshan placement. I think it's probably more to do with Tormentor placement. But I actually thought Dire was better for Tormentor. So I'll keep you guys updated. Still trying to figure that one out myself. Abaddon. It's really crazy to see Abaddon number 2. People have really figured this hero out in all brackets now. But yeah, DK number 1. I do believe this hero is very much broken. I think Abaddon, very broken. Wyvern, huge sample size of games. People really like this hero clearly as it can solo carry games. It's a very 1v9-esque support, especially with the recursive facet. I think both facets are awesome, but especially with the recursive facet. Enigma, he always tends to be high MMR, high win rate. I think it's just because he buys very effective items, kind of a cheese laner, and it gets picked in games where he's OP. You know, it's definitely a last pick off laner for a lot of players, but it's also just a super solid hero. It's just a good Dota hero. Stuns, scaling, tower push, strong lane, effective items. Like, Enigma is just a hero that, like, I like having on my team. I know he's just gonna, like, do good things and has scaling. You know, he might miss all of his black holes, but other than that, Tide, hyper consistent hero. Kind of, we see the overlap there, right? This hero is clearly just good, like super solid. Dazzle's one that's really interesting. Very high win rate. This is core and support. The hero's win rate offlane over a small sample size of 290 games is 60%. I really believe that this hero is just a nasty core. I think it's a very good hero. I think it's a better core. It does a lot with items. You just need a lot of frontliners, but I really believe in Dazzle, and as we saw, This is hero, it is around there at 51, quite buffed. I think it went way up. And I think as people continue to learn it and figure it out and play it, I think Dazzle, we'll see a lot of Dazzle. Leshrac, I've been claiming this is the best mid. I really believe this is the best mid of the patch, the most well-rounded mid of the patch. Willow's a weird one to me. I mean, I took interest in the hero because of the new facet, which was quite interesting, but what's weird is that it doesn't even seem to be the higher win rate facet. She's now an int hero. She got 2 more damage to level 1, which is pretty nice for this hero. She got better stats. You're not universal, which kind of sucks a bit, but I don't know, this hero now hits harder, which is probably quite nice. The shard is a little bit different. She has 10 int at level 10, which is interesting. I assume you're taking Bedlam duration at level 10 now. Oh, that's actually quite nice. I didn't know you got that. I skipped over that one. That's quite good. Bedlam duration at 10, that's definitely good. And then you also have this interesting facet that the win rate, I believe, I mean, to be fair, it's a new facet, so people have to get used to it. It's quite low. I mean, that's across all brackets. I think Willow is quite a high skill hero. You have, a skill shot Q. You got to know how to like look for solo kills. The spell casting is kind of wonky, but in high MMR, this hero does well, and I am a believer in it. Zeus, where's Zeus? He's usually really high. Okay, he's up there, 51. He's actually higher at the top level, 53, very impressive. Yeah, I mean, I think the hero is just a great support. I think it's mainly a support. It's a decent core, but I think it's just a better support. Your spells just do a lot, and now Livewire is better in the late game. Instead of doing 2% when you are far away from people, like your ulti, for instance, it does 4% of their health, which is, I mean, a huge buff. I personally think Tinker mid is very, very good. I think Tinker support is very, very good. I'll actually kind of pull it up. I want to see the win rates real quick. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess this is like, again, they're pretty low sample sizes on sup. I actually think the hero is a good sup, but the mid win rate, decent sample size, solid amount of games. They buffed the Ags a lot. It is 50% better. Tinker Ags is great, and so I think more teams, if they have a Tinker spammer, should look into it. I do believe in that hero quite a bit. Darkseer, just probably best offlaner of the patch. Okay, one of the best. It's tough. There's actually quite a few good ones. There's Abba, Tide as like most reliable. Then there's Darkseer. These are probably 3 of the top ones. Enigma is there, but it's a little hard to say. Nature's Prophet, people are loving this hero. It's kind of back to being a popular carry. And I think with the map really benefiting fast-paced heroes and split pushing, it's a better hero. Why? There's no outposts in the corner of the map, so split pushing is harder to punish. When you lose your outer towers, you can't flank some guy. You can't TP to the outpost to catch people split pushing. You can't get behind them. You have to TP to your tier 3 if you don't have a tier 2 or tier 1. And so like late game catching rats is very difficult. It's quite predictable. The main thing you have to do is hit the gate, which is quite slow and frequently predictable and very wardable. So yeah, it seems to be quite good in this like less farming from the carry, more fast-paced carry meta. Seems to be pretty popular and doing well. Disruptor, solid hero. Undying, I think hyper underrated. Huskar seems to be doing great. Night Stalker, hyper reliable because of the Night Rain facet giving you 2 spells at level 1. And then there's the AA. Big fall from grace for Bounty Hunter. That's crazy. But there's the AA. Yeah, and that's gonna be all for today's video. That was a fun little video, just kind of comparing win rates to the top heroes. Where's Tiny? Oh, there he is. I missed him by 1. This hero is considered to be maybe the best carry of the patch, outside of Lifestealer. It's 54% win rate. It's kind of, his win rate's kind of brought down by the mid win rate, but the insurmountable facet, now reducing attack speed slows, makes him a much better carry. I'm not a huge fan of it. I actually don't love this hero as a carry, but I will say I've gotten destroyed by it in 3 pubs, and so maybe I have to change my mind. And I might make a video on it just to kind of figure it out and show it to you guys. But all right, I'll wrap up the video there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next one, and I'm out.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the gameleap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.